Alright, so today I want to ask a question that could be potentially uncomfortable, and that's whether or not buying your Grail watch is actually a bad idea. Now before you click off this video, I'm not telling you to not buy your Grail watch. I just think it's worth the discussion because I think more times than not, buying that Grail watch doesn't really go the way you think it will. But before we tackle whether it's worth or not, let's actually take a moment to define what the term Grail watch actually means, because I think it's a term that's used relatively loosely. First and foremost, a Grail watch is usually one that's fairly expensive. It's aspirational, and not a watch you can just buy on a moment's notice. A Grail watch is the one that you always come back to, the piece that you have to have in your collection even for just a moment, and the watch that's likely spent 6+ months in your browser history as you constantly check YouTube videos and watch reviews on it. And lastly, and most importantly, for many people, a Grail watch is a psychological finish line. It's an endgame piece. It's the piece that you think will finally satiate you from buying more watches. And it's that last point that usually can provide the biggest problems for us collectors, because in my experience, and probably yours as well, the finish line has a funny way of always moving forward. The first reason why buying your Grail watch might be a bad idea, especially for those who view it as a psychological finish line, is that it's probably not going to be your last watch, and that's just sort of the harsh reality of the situation. Now, there is likely a group of people out there who view Grail watches as the endpoint in their collecting journey and have purchased these Grail watches and have truly stopped buying watches. If you're one of those people, then you've done something that I find almost impossible, and that is to stop myself from buying watches further. However, for the rest of us who view Grail watches as a type of finish line, this reality is probably not going to happen. We will likely buy more watches. We'll watch more YouTube videos, we'll see more Reddit posts, more reviews online, and get excited by other watches at every single price point. In my mind, it's the same reason why a promotion doesn't end your ambition at work or a vacation doesn't end your burnout. It's not going to be the true end of your journey. In my experience, when you buy a watch that you deem to be your Grail, it usually goes through the same cycle as any other new watch. You buy it, you're super excited, you have a honeymoon phase, and eventually over time that watch begins to sort of normalize. That doesn't mean you're going to get sick of that watch or want to sell it immediately, but it does mean that watch will, again, probably become pretty normal to you. That's exactly what happened to me when I bought my Grail watch, the Rolex Explorer 114270. I wanted that watch basically from the moment I became a fan of watch collecting and watches in general, and I thought about that watch for so long. And when I received it, I was super excited, but again, just like every watch I've received, eventually it just becomes super regular or normal or mundane, whatever you want to call it. And I still love that watch, and I have sold it since for a different Rolex Explorer, but the same idea still stands. I love my Rolex Explorer and it's a great watch, but it doesn't have the same feeling of hype behind it being my Grail watch that I originally had before I bought it. And even though I love my Rolex Explorer, that has never stopped me from looking at any other watch and getting excited by new releases and continuing to collect in this hobby, despite my original thought when I first wanted the Explorer that it would probably be my last watch. And that really brings me to the second reason why buying your Grail watch could be a bad idea. And that's because the hype that you have in your head for these Grail watches will almost never live up to the expectations. By the time most collectors are able to afford their Grail watch, they've likely spent months, if not years, searching for that watch, doing research, watching reviews, trying it on, and reading about everything you can about that watch. So the hype that you build up in your head can be pretty enormous. I would go so far as to say that even sometimes we build up an emotional connection with these watches before we actually own them. So when we buy these watches after looking at them for years and years, how could that watch truly live up to the expectations? And again, it's very possible that for you, a watch has done that. But for most of us, I do think that's a very difficult task for any watch to fulfill. There's simply no way that an object can live up to multiple years of hype and excitement and imagination. And speaking personally for a second, the watch I deem to be my newest Grail watch, the one that I want to end my collection with, is the Cartier 1575. But to speak to my first point, that'll likely not be my last watch if I'm being honest. And number two, it won't live up to the hype that I've built up about it. I think it's the most beautiful watch maybe in existence, and there's just no way that I buy it and don't get let down in some way. And of course, I'm a long ways away from maybe even buying that watch at all, but the point still stands. When you have a Grail watch in your head for so long, there's just no way it's going to be as exciting as what you thought it would be. So you're probably wondering to yourself, what exactly are you trying to say? Are you telling me to not buy my Grail watch? Well, again, that's not what I'm trying to get at here. I just think we all need to have a different mentality when going into that type of a purchase. It's one that you're super excited about, one that you've likely saved up for so long to finally get, and it's important to really have the right mentality when going into it. And if you can think that, hey, it's not going to be my last watch, and it's probably not going to live up to every single expectation I set for it, then you're in a really good place. But I think it's those expectations that go unchecked that can really hurt us in the long run. So if we could just take a second to recap and set some rules for ourselves when buying a Grail watch. Number one, remember, it's likely not going to be your last watch. Number two, it's probably not going to live up to all of the hype that you've set for it in your head. And number three, make sure you're not buying it to resolve something or conclude your watch collecting journey. I think the fun of watch collecting is to always be excited about the next thing and all the new watches that come out every single day and every single year. And again, there's probably no real end to watch collecting, at least in my experience. And again, if you're one of the lucky few who's able to stop the collecting journey, good for you. But for most of us, we're not going to stop. So just remember that when you go into it. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you think about Grail watches and if it's a good idea to actually try to buy our Grail watches. Like I said, I think it's obviously a really fun exercise if you can go out and buy the watch you've always thought about and always dreamed of. But in some ways, it's always nice to have something to chase and something to always be excited about. And I just think sometimes you can be let down by these Grail watches. So again, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you can give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.